Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, let's cover another person who was involved in the radionic industry for many years that I was associated with. He was a person I talked to frequently, probably a couple of times a week for a long period of time, and that is Jonathan Goldman. Thunder Tech was. And of course, that Thunder Tech was named after me and High Power Technologies. Well, he was another one that decided to go out on his own, working with a bunch of negative people as well. So, after buying some of my equipment, taking my training, and talking to me frequently on the phone, he decided to go into competition with me and make his own machines. And he made a variety of these different types of machines, generally all based on my technology and others. I don't think he had an original idea, period. But every time we came up with something new and put it on our website, guess, Jonathan, what were you doing? Well, I don't have a brain. I can't come up with my own stuff. Well, we know that, Jonathan. You're really kind of a scumbucket, aren't you? So the whole idea is that no matter who it was, and of course it doesn't matter who in the industry was putting out things, the minute they came out with it, a week later he had the same design. We started putting lasers on our particular units, pushing the energy down into the unit. It was kind of suspended over it, and of course he did the same thing, but he was too stupid to put a laser. Of course he put a worthless LED in there. But he came up with similar designs to everybody, copying everything, orgone, non-orgone, and anything else to try and get his stuff out there. Very simple designs. His machines didn't. The guts of them were pretty pathetic because he didn't really have any knowledge of what he was doing. He doesn't have much electronic skill or anything else at that time. Of course, like most of these traders, and he's another person of who apparently died what has been alleged to me of AIDS and has died relatively recently. But he's another one, a fairly young guy who's passed away, maybe from using his own toxic orgone that he got into, because this became popular for a period of time. So everybody's making these kind of orgone type things, and the problem with accumulators is you're accumulating huge amounts of toxic energies. This is really bad. So you have to be very careful what kind of energies you're accumulating and what you're broadcasting. So he was big into using these pseudo-orgone stuff because it's not really orgone as the discoverer Reich made then and even described it. It's some pseudo stuff. So made up by somebody that has little or no value. But he also made a traditional radionic type machines. He copied our psionic helmet and of course everything else from Casamata, because that was of course what we were making at a particular time. And of course all the information that went with that, and spoke with me, of course, as I mentioned, on the phone often. But the bottom line is that here's another guy that is a typical scumbucket who stole everything from everybody else, produced very little, and never did much. As I said, his machines were pretty empty inside. There wasn't much there. Your typical worthless circuits. The construction of them was okay. I mean, they were made at a fairly decent quality, even though they were small. The materials that they were made with were very cheap. So there was there's a quality factor here. Of course, there was an engineering factor, which he knew nothing about because he had no background whatsoever. So as usual, we always try and work with people who are interested in this area, and we are happy to publish people's books, even distribute some of their instruments or work together with them if they have something. We're too busy to do everything. We're always looking for people that want to work with us, but he decided to go on his own, and of course what happens is you get disconnected from the master in this area, something that I am the number one expert on the planet, and have been researching this for almost 50 years now. of all these areas and been making machines and researching machines for a long time. And I've used every single machine. I have his machines, or at least I have two of them. And that's what is that. There's certainly nothing special about it. Just like things like programs, the problem with any kind of radionic computer program is that these things don't work. You're not producing the kind of energies from a digital format than you will from a physical machine. There is a great energetic difference. And of course, you've got to know this in general. And of course, he didn't have any background, and there certainly wasn't anybody else out there to teach him except me. So when he broke away from me, he had no new knowledge whatsoever. All he could do was copy others. Well, as I've mentioned, this is a terrible area. The entire radionic orgone industry is run by Satanists and organized crime. Everybody knows this, and people think that there isn't much money or anything else. Well, you've got to take care of all these people in your crime family, and you're going to take that out of your pocket? They already have everybody handling all the drugs and prostitutes and everything else. So if they want to keep a lot of people going, well, they shore them up like's been done with all of these people. And there's a lot more money in this than you think, and it's a great way to launder money as well. Now, how in-depth he was is unknown, but he certainly had contact with all of those and knew exactly what was going on with them. And since he was stealing from most of the other manufacturers, I'm assuming he didn't have that many contact with the other criminals, but he certainly was contacted by and controlled by the main criminal organized crime that runs occultism. They're involved in all the publishing, and anybody who's anything serious in occultism will get a little visit from these organized crime gang members that are across the country. So this is a sad fact, and it's really sad that all the people in this industry are so corrupt and bad. It's just almost shocking that they're all bad. Well, the reason for this is the fact that they don't want you to have good technology. They don't want you to excel in this area. They want you to be a slave, and they certainly don't want you equipped with technology that, in the right hands and constructed properly, is super potent. They want to keep you weak. This is one reason why this Black Lodge group of criminals and their buddies, the corrupt police, have taken over this industry. They want to make sure that they have control of this industry, and they certainly can do that. So what they do is they go and buy people off, and those that they can't buy off, me, they make sure that they marginalize you by funding and promoting others in the industry so you buy their junk. And that's exactly what's happened. There's pretty much nothing but junk on the market. There are a few semi-credible people. I don't know that much about them, but there's a couple of people that seem to be kind of independent, but I'm sure they've been contacted, or certainly would be if I ever got in contact with them, that are putting out some instruments at a very high price, which is probably why these people are still in business, because they're really not going to sell that many units when they're, $4,000, $3,000. Well, there's a limited market for that, so there is a particular problem. But just like Ernie Vega, the cyber shaman, who there's many postings on the net of how he ripped people off as well. So he was taking money from people, selling a bogus program and everything that goes with that. Here's another guy that, I believe delivered his products. I have not heard the difference. Certainly, these were very low-level products that were copied from everybody else, and certainly they weren't manufactured with any kind of quality products, the usual plastic boxes and all the other things that goes with this. And the pricing on his units, well, while not super expensive, certainly were not inexpensive. So for what you were getting, you weren't getting much for your money. A matter of fact, very little. So you're talking about what was considered like Radio Shack parts, very primitive, assembled fairly cleanly, but still basically a bunch of junk parts put in a plastic box with internal empowerments that just weren't there. There was nothing there. He copied from everybody else and had no background. So typical. So people are pushing these products out there. They're nothing but junk. People are buying them where they don't actually work and getting much results. It's the same old story. And it's really sad. This field has went nowhere until IGOS got involved in it, and until I designed some very advanced equipment, and we'll have now the second generation of advanced radionic equipment that will be coming out soon. This equipment is so far advanced that these people could never fathom it as they can't today. We're still using technologies that are arcane. They're based on 100 years old or more. There's nothing in them. They're nothing but a bunch of dials on a box connected to a resin piece of nonsense, which doesn't generate any extra energies. It's actually accumulating toxic energies like all orgone accumulators do. So all this nonsense is going on. There's certainly been no achievements with this equipment, whether his or anyone else. But certainly he's another one of the many scumbags. And of course, like most scumbags, particularly in this area, that have decided to attack the good people, he is now resting, I don't know, peacefully? I certainly hope not. And I certainly know where he went. And it's warm down there. And he deserves it. Until next time.